What the Roman arena did to captive women reveals a system more terrifying than any gladiator's sword. We picture gladiators as heroes, but they were often slaves, trapped in a machine of death. The spectators were trapped too. Historians record Emperor Claudius ordering the execution of citizens who dared to leave an execution early. Departure wasn't protest, it was dissent, and dissent was a death sentence. The entire society was complicit, locked in a silent agreement to watch. But what happened when Rome turned its own elite women into targets for the arena's victors? That's when the entire system began to crack. The historian Cassius Dio documents the reign of Emperor Commodus, a ruler obsessed with the games. He began gifting female prisoners to his favorite fighters as rewards. But then he crossed an unthinkable line. He started selecting the daughters of Roman senators, citizens protected by law, and treated them as spoils of war. The father of one young woman, Quintus Pomponius, stood in the doorway to protect her. He was killed on the spot. His daughter was dragged away into the darkness of the arena. This single act of brutality against one of their own finally pushed the elite to act. They weren't moved by morality, but by sheer self-preservation. The plot was set, and Commodus was assassinated before the year was out. But the public spectacles could also provoke quiet disgust. Under Emperor Nero, after the Great Fire of Rome, Christians were brutally scapegoated. The poet Martial was present and wrote of the horrific public violations inflicted upon women before their execution. Something unusual happened. Parts of the crowd began to get up and leave. They weren't shouting protests. That was far too dangerous. But their silent exit was a message. Nero's guards blocked the exits, forcing them to stay. Even in a culture numb to violence, there were moments when the cruelty became too much to stomach. So what did Rome's own historians truly think about this? Their writings are a study in complicity. Suetonius recorded these horrors with a chilling, bureaucratic detachment. He listed the fates of women alongside grain supplies as mere administrative facts. Martial used satire, mocking the hypocrisy of a civilization that preached law while practicing savagery. He wrote, "Rome claims to bring order, yet what order is built upon broken bodies?" He highlighted the contradiction, but never demanded it end. The historian Tacitus came closest to condemnation. Describing Nero's atrocities, he wrote that the punishment had surpassed all bounds of justice. It was the strongest criticism a Roman historian could risk. Even the philosopher Seneca admitted to attending the games, expecting amusement and returning home feeling worse. He saw the difference between gladiatorial combat and the systematic abuse of the condemned. He confessed the experience corrupted his soul, yet he proposed no solution. The system was simply accepted as an unchangeable reality. The later historian Cassius Dio offered a pragmatic judgment, noting that such extreme practices actually fueled rebellions. His concern wasn't for the victims, but for the empire's stability. The moral compass had broken. The only question was whether the brutality was effective. This story matters today not because Rome was uniquely evil, but because it was uniquely efficient at normalizing evil. They built a bureaucracy of suffering, with supply chains and paperwork for human agony. The philosopher Hannah Arendt later called this the banality of evil. The citizens in the stands weren't monsters. They were patriots enjoying a show. The historians weren't complicit. They were objective observers. When cruelty becomes routine, it becomes invisible. Over 400 years, nearly 500,000 people died in the sands of the arena. The empire didn't collapse because it was weak. It fell because it had forgotten any other way to be strong. The ruins of the Colosseum stand not just as a monument to entertainment, but as a warning. A society that makes a spectacle of suffering will eventually consume itself. If you found this look into Rome's hidden machinery of power compelling, please support the channel. Give this video a like and make sure you're following Forgotten History Facts for more unfiltered history.